take a moment after the forum to meet the candidates and to stop by the co-sponsors tables to learn more about the fabulous resources available here in Ward 11. We are looking forward to a civil and educational forum, so now let me introduce tonight's League of Women Voters Minneapolis moderator, Debbie Magnuson. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ward 11 City Council Candidate Forum. My name, as she said, thank you, is Debbie Magnuson. I am a member of the League of Women Voters, but I am not a resident in Ward 11. I am pleased to be moderating this forum this evening. The League of Women Voters is a volunteer organization with a long history of providing unbiased candidate and issue information that is widely used by voters, regardless of political beliefs. This forum is co-sponsored by the Nokomis East Neighborhood Association, Tangletown Neighborhood Association, Hale Page Diamond Lake Community Association, Windham Community Council, the organization Community Power, and the League of Women Voters of Minneapolis. The views expressed are those of the candidates and not those of the co-sponsors. Neither the League of Women Voters nor its co-sponsors endorse candidates or a political party. We're holding this forum this evening for voters to hear from the candidates and to compare their ideas. This forum is being held in front of a live audience at the Creekside United Church of Christ and is being live streamed to the League of Women Voters Minneapolis's YouTube channel. The recording of this forum will be available in its entirety after the forum and will have a closed caption option available in multiple languages. Thank you to our partner MCN6 sitting over here for the production and recording of this event. We ask that, so these are the mini rules of the road, we ask that campaign buttons or campaign t-shirts are not to be worn in this room and that no signs or literature be distributed during this event. Please remain as quiet as possible while the candidates are speaking so that everyone can hear the discussion. We also would ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum so that candidates will have the maximum time to respond to your questions. Finally, please silence all electronics devices. Please silence your devices. Thank you. Ward 11 is located in south central Minneapolis. The ward is home to charming residential neighborhoods, welcoming communities, and a variety of lakes, parks, outdoor amenities, and green spaces. Local business hubs are filled with thriving small businesses characterized by their entrepreneurial spirit, community focus, and creativity. The neighborhoods of Ward 11 share a strong sense of community spirit and pride. Residents actively engage in their neighborhood associations, community events, and local initiatives aimed at fostering connections and enhancing quality of life for all residents. Wouldn't you want to live there? Doesn't that sound good? Yeah, I know. I know. All right. All candidates on the ballot were invited to the forum, and 3 are joining us this evening. They are, in alphabetical order, Mariam DeMello.
Good evening.
Jim Meyer.
Hello, thank you for coming.
And Jameson Whiting.
Evening.
We thank the candidates in advance for engaging in a respectful and civil discourse. We have timekeepers sitting in the front row. Uh-oh. Okay. We have timekeepers sitting in the front row so that each candidate has the same amount of time to respond to the questions. We will have opening statements of 1.5 minutes each, and each candidate will have up to 1 minute to answer all the rest of the questions. So it's 1.5 minutes for opening statements and then 1 minute for all following questions. The timekeeper will hold up a card when there are 15 seconds remaining and a stop card when time is up. When the stop card appears, candidates may finish their sentence and stop at that point. We expect this forum to last approximately 1 hour, and this will be followed by a meet and greet for you to meet the candidates. Questions from community members have been submitted in advance to the League of Women Voters. However, during the forum, we will take written questions from the audience until 15 minutes before the end of the forum at about 6:45. League of Women Voters volunteers, raise your hands, volunteers who, okay, they have cards. And if you have a question you would like to submit to be asked, please raise your hand. They will bring you a card, and then we'll bring it up to our questions staff up here. So if you have a question, please fill out a card, and then we will put it into the group. We ask that your questions be clear, pertinent to the issues at hand, and within the scope of the office of City Council person, and made in the form of a question, not a statement. All questions are carefully reviewed and rewritten when necessary to make sure that they're directed to all the candidates, forward-looking, not hostile, and not of a personal nature. We look for a balance of topics that affect all of us, both locally and in the city as a whole. To get to as many topics as possible, we will limit the number of questions in each category. We may consolidate questions of the same general topic. So if you do submit a question, you may not hear it in exactly the form you submitted it. It may get consolidated. If we have questions of a similar topic, they will be consolidated, so don't worry. If you have a specific question that you would like to ask a candidate individually, you can ask that after. You can do that one-on-one in the time we have for the meet and greet after the formal question period. Finally, all submitted questions are the property of the League of Women Voters of Minneapolis. For the candidates' opening statements, we ask that they address the question, why are you running and what are your qualifications? Each candidate will have up to 1.5 minutes to respond. It was determined by drawing numbers that the first candidate to speak is Jim Meyer. The order will then rotate. Now we move to the questions from the live audience and those submitted in advance. Candidates will have up to 1 minute to answer those questions. Okay. All right. Are you ready for your opening statements, Mr. Meyer?
I am, thank you.
All right.
Good evening, I'm Jim Meyer. I'm a 50-year resident of the ward. I grew up in a multi-generational double bungalow on Chicago Avenue, where I live again. I attended the public schools all the way to Washburn 80 and vocational high school for radio broadcasting. Bring back VOTEC. I've been on the city advisories on aging and for racial equity. I was an entertainment reporter, and after 5 years at Best Buy, I retrained as a nurse, which makes me so into workforce redevelopment. It was huge for me. For 17 years, I was an aggressive union rep and whistleblower at the state-run Vets Home, where I just resigned in disgust. It's another story. I paid a high price for my tenacity in protecting our immigrant workforce, and I'll bring that same fearlessness to City Hall. I jumped into the race late because few leaders seemed concerned about rising taxes, failing service, and shrinking revenue. The city seems business hostile and tax friendly. The mayor recently made some minor cuts in his new budget, and the council leaders felt it was austerity. They seem completely unaware that high costs hit owners and renters alike. Revenue will be a real challenge going forward because the recession and automation is hitting many job sectors, particularly for new grads and office workers. We cannot count on past state and federal support suite, so we must efficiently coordinate agencies and organizations on solving our most urgent problems and stop the current bickering and finger pointing. At Turtle Bread, I tried to express the city's course was unsustainable. I felt I was ignored then, and it's why I'm here now. As an independent outsider, I feel I'm the objective reformer we need at this critical time in Minneapolis. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Miriam DeMello, and I'm running to be your sensible, moderate, and responsive Ward 11 City Council member. Like many of you, I'm a lifelong resident. I've loved my home, maintained my home, invested so much in building relationships in the city, but living here is becoming harder. Property taxes continue to rise, yet city services keep declining. Many of us feel so unsafe in our homes, neighborhoods, and now even schools. I'm running because I want to change that. I want to bring a moderate voice to the city council. I want to use my experience to make a big difference in our community and get back to basics and get back to what it means to be a true blue moderate Democrat. I've spent my whole entire career as a public servant. I worked for the city of Minneapolis, in the city attorney's office in Minneapolis. I worked for R.T. Ryback, county attorney's office in Ramsey County. The list goes on, but I currently serve you as a member of the Minneapolis Charter Commission. And I work for Mayor Melvin Carter in St. Paul. So I have an extensive background, and I know what it takes to run a functioning city, a well-managed city, and I know how to invest your taxpayer dollars wisely.
And firstly, I want to say thank you to Debbie and all of our League of Women volunteers here today, and all of you. Right, you could do anything on a Tuesday and you're here and showing up for our ward. My name is Jamison Whiting, and I am proud to be your DFL and labor-endorsed candidate for Ward 11. I am running for City Council because I believe in the promise of our city. I grew up here in this ward. I am a Hale, Field, and Washburn graduate, and I currently work for a Minneapolis City Attorney's Office as a city attorney, working on our consent decree and settlement agreement alongside MPD, our Office of Community Safety, and Civil Rights Department, working to ensure that our public safety ecosystem improves. Before that, I worked at one of Minnesota's largest law firms, Faegre Drinker, where I was a corporate and nonprofit attorney working with our state's largest and most premier companies. My favorite job, though, is I get to coach. So I'm a coach at Washburn High School, where I get to coach both of our men's and now women's flag football teams as well. Growing up, when my family was struggling, this community wrapped its arms around us. When Minneapolis takes care of the basics, it allows coaches, teachers, parents, loved ones like yours and mine to do the rest. I want Minneapolis to focus on our essential core services that make this city the place that we all know it is. And I look forward to jumping into all of this with you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, candidates. And I failed to mention, let's please hold all applause until it's over, okay? Until we tell you, now you can clap. Okay, so now we are ready to move on to questions from the live audience and those submitted in advance. Candidates will have 1 minute to start with that. And so now we're going to start with candidate DeMello with this question. Candidate DeMello, what do you consider to be the biggest challenges in Ward 11 related to public safety? And what would you do specifically to address them?
So we are very lucky to live in Ward 11. We have middle to upper middle class residents in our neighborhood, and luckily we don't deal with some of the issues that other parts of the city are dealing with. However, with our understaffed police department, crime is not that far away. Lake Street is not that far away. I really want to make sure that we invest resources in public safety to make sure that if, God forbid, we need a police officer to come to our homes, they can get there in a timely manner. I want to implement so many different design models that reduce our cars getting broken into. It's so important to me to make sure we invest in our public safety ecosystem.
Okay, thank you. Next to candidate Meyer.
Oh.
Answer, would you like me to repeat the question? You got it?
I thought we were, yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
and
no,
repeat.
we're random.
Oh, okay.
on the questions,
Do
yes.
repeat the question then.
Yes. What do you consider to be the biggest challenges in Ward 11 related to public safety, and what would you do specifically to address them?
I've been knocking the doors a lot personally. I've got free time now in the days, and when I chat with people face to face, they are really concerned about response time, particularly on the outer edges. I talked to a resident who said violators know they've probably got 15, 20 minutes to get it done before they're going to be encountered. So it seems like we generally need more staff, just more patrol out this way, even a presence. You know, I don't really expect, I do believe if they're present, they will interrupt a future act. And maybe we also need stations out on the edge. I know there's been talk in the past about a substation. I think it's a great idea. People out there just really deserve to feel like they, you know, it's not perfect protection, but there's at least a presence and an accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Meyer. Candidate Whiting, same question.
Yeah, thank you. And first of all, I think we saw an example of it in our ward not long ago. We need to get guns off of our street, and specifically assault-style weapons of war and high-capacity magazines. That is something that I will always be at the forefront of doing, but particular to Ward 11, I was talking with Chief O'Hara this week. We are seeing an increase. This will actually be the first time since 2020 that we will end the year with more officers than we started with. And what Chief O'Hara is saying is we don't just need any officer off the street, right? We need accountable, trusted, and well-trained officers that are here to do the job that none of us want to do. And so as I ride along with our officers, I take quarterly ride-alongs, it is a tough job. And so we have to support them, but also lean into what they're asking for too. Our officers are asking for help. That means that we have to ensure that our unarmed resources are there for every single person, that we have the right response for every single situation.
Thank you, Candidate Whiting. Moving on to question number 2, again, starting with Candidate Whiting. What is your position on alternatives to traditional policing, such as mental health crisis teams, violence interrupters, and/or victim advocacy programs?
Oh, Debbie, don't get me started on this one. So this is my day job. And so as we talk through the settlement agreement and the consent decree, the piece that I am most excited for is our nonviolent response. And so what we are seeing, it's called your joint response model. And so what is, in an ideal world, we will have a crisis intervention specialist, you have a mental health trained person, and an addiction specialist responding to any sort of situation, but they're going along with our officers. Right now, the majority of our officers are going by themselves to scenarios. What our officers are saying, just by virtue of their guns and their uniforms, they raise the temperature. 80% of our officers' calls are nonviolent. And so we have to ensure, again, that we have the right response for every single situation, and that is what our consent decree would do. It's why I'm starting to go gray a little bit, but we're trying to get it done.
Thank you, Candidate Whiting. Next, we'll hear from Candidate DeMello.
So when I worked for the city of Minneapolis, my tenure extended through 3 different police chiefs. So when you look at the last 5 years, we had a lot of turnover. And I'm a big supporter of what Chief O'Hara is doing. He's taking a broken department and really changing it and fixing it up. But we really need to go beyond the consent decree. We need to make sure that we're adopting practices and data-driven solutions to our policing problems. No, I don't support a police officer going to address someone who's undergoing mental health crisis. That they're not trained to do that. And when we alleviate that burden on our police department by having individuals that are properly trained with addressing addiction, homelessness, mental health issues, we can let our police officers do their job and intervene when there is an absolute life-threatening emergency. The consent decree is not enough.
Thank you, Candidate DeMello. Next, let's hear from Candidate Meyer on this one.
I've been trying to observe the behavioral crisis unit in action. I don't see them around too much, and I know firsthand, Inspector Gomez at the 3rd Precinct was, early on, he was favorable. He could see in the dispatch where they were going. But later on, I knew firsthand that they were also going to fully staffed nursing homes such as mine. And so the call volume seemed like it was maybe getting exaggerated by, non-essential calls. And so I would want to audit how many appearances they are making, but the basic idea to respond to the right crisis is good. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Candidate Meyer. And coming back to you for question number 3. Candidate Meyer, what specific steps will you take as a council member to continue the work of reforming policing practices and ensuring full compliance, transparency, and community involvement in the process?
Well, I don't know how much control I have on, but I would like to lower the temperature between the community and the police department. I know there's been historical damage. I think the new chief is trying to set a new cultural standard. Recruitment has been positive. It has been rapid, and I hope that's successful, but it has been a diverse crew. And I have been impressed, or I've been pleased, there have been some parallel hires, maybe not a lot, but I was impressed to see experienced officers from elsewhere coming into Minneapolis. And I've heard many of the new hires are also locals, and that is good. I just want to be sure that we are really not too, I said this in my Star Tribune answers, not too diffuse with the ecosystem. Are we really like stopping crime, getting a handle on that, and not getting too far off the point of intervening, interrupting criminal activity?
Thank you, candidate. Candidate Whiting, same question.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the work I do daily. It's the work that I've done for the past 2 years. What we are seeing is the improvement of our consent decree, right? When we look at what the best police departments around our country are doing, they are following the consent decree, right? It's going to be expensive. It's going to cost a lot of money, but it matters. And so when we talk about having officers that are well-trained and accountable, right, I just sat through about, 8 hours of police training. It is hard, right? But it matters and it shows up. What we are seeing is, in a little bit of inside baseball, we have a culture change that needs to happen, right? We are starting to get there. Our officers have bought in. They are bought into what is being sold because it has to be better. Not just, it's what our chief says all the time, that your job is not just to be an officer, it's a customer service job. When officers show up, you have to make sure that they are there to protect us as citizens. And that's what we will continue to do to support our officers, but generally our public safety ecosystem as well.
Candidate DeMello.
We are not doing enough. And policing is more than a customer service job. It's protecting our lives. A few months ago, the police department had the officer who shot Amir Locke, who was executing a warrant, lead an officer use of force training. That says a lot about how broken our department is. And that says a lot about how much reform is needed. We need to make sure that our officers are not only trained, but screened for bias before we give them a firearm to protect us. And we need to build the distrust that is ensuing in our community. When you have an officer that shot someone and the community respond to it in a strong, strong manner, you don't let them, lead a use of force training program. You broke the people's trust in you by doing that. We need to really listen to our community members and work on getting out there and letting know the officers are screened, trained, and they're there to protect and serve us.
Thank you. And coming right back to you, Candidate DeMello, with the next question. What would you do, if anything, to increase the number and diversity of MPD officers to serve our increasingly diverse population?
So I'm out and about a lot, and I'm noticing a shift. I do see more officers of color, and I think that's needed in our community because police are supposed to be a reflection of who we are in Minneapolis. We are a diverse community, not just black, not just white. We are all from all over the world, and our department needs to reflect that. Now, that is not an easy task to do. We need to make being a police officer someone who's willing to put their life on the line and do the jobs we're not going to do, feel supportive. Over the last few years, I've known wonderful police officers who left the force because it was just too troubling, too stressful, and too risky for them to be a part of a broken police department. We need to do more to get people wanting to be a police officer again. I don't know about
Candidate DeMello. Candidate Whiting, or I'm sorry, Candidate Meyer.
I'm impressed that members, diverse members of our community are out doing that job in addition to the city staff and the department doing the work. But I was encouraged to go to Daniel Hernandez's Colonial Market down on East Lake Street. And in there, he's got all kinds of recruitment posters for National Guard or the MPD, puts the pay rate up, tries to, I think it's powerful if a respected member of community makes that impression and makes that guidance and that outreach. I think Lisa Clemens, not to drop a bunch of names, but I know that she's a proud ex. She's an objective, critical, realistic member, but also honors that job. So one way would, again, be some valued members of the broader community to outreach those who have trust and can make that bridge to make a respectable staff of the future.
Thank you. Candidate Whiting, same question.
Yeah, and it's actually, as I was prepping for this debate today, I signed a $5 million contract for officer wellness. And so what we are doing is we have to support our officers, right? Health and wellness for our officers is a large piece of what our officers need to have. And so as they are dealing with all of these issues, this help matters. And so again, this is something that I did today. Specifically, again, I just was at a graduation for our officers. We just hired 33 brand new officers. I talked with our Lieutenant Anderson, who's the head of all of our recruiting. They are doing a lot better, right? They are going into schools. It is why I restarted that conversation with our schools. I brought 10 officers to every single high school in this city to restart that conversation, because when you have that conversation, it allows for people to see themselves in that position. If you see somebody that looks like you, lives in the city, and enjoys the city as much as you do, maybe you'll do that job, and that's what we're trying to do here at the city, and I hope to continue that on council.
Thank you. And coming back to you with the next question, Candidate Whiting, how will you work with fellow council members and address encampments and support residents who are facing housing instability, displacement, or homelessness?
Yeah, and thank you. And this is the hardest question facing large blue cities across our country. Housing is a human right first. We have to ensure that housing is affordable, not just for our renters, but the people that have homes as well, right? We have to ensure that our paychecks are keeping pace with our rents, that your property taxes are not pushing you out of your homes, and that starts with relationships. As every single person here knows at your job, when you go to work, you can't just say, hey, let's do this right now. Right? You have to have a relationship first. As I've been working for the past 2 years in the city of Minneapolis, I know every single one of our council members extremely well. The mayor is a good friend of mine, every single mayoral candidate. You have to have relationships first. We are a city full of Democrats, but we are unable to get together and move this in the right direction, and we again have to come to something beyond politics. We have to do what is best for the city of Minneapolis, and I believe that starts with relationships.
Thank you. Let's go next to Candidate DeMello. Answer the same question.
One of the many reasons I ran is, as a Minneapolis Charter Commissioner, I've been seeing the dysfunction at City Hall firsthand, and it's impeding our ability to get city services and work done, including addressing homeless encampments, which I am not a fan of. I'm not in favor of encampments. People need dignified homes and shelter to live in. But because of all this dysfunction and all these extreme ideologies on the city council and this democratic socialist movement, it's impeding a lot of our work from getting done. However, I want to make sure I give each council member, even those that disagree with me, the same courtesy and respect I would want. Even if we have differing opinions, I want to hear them out. I want to give them my time and attention, and I want to understand more about why they feel a certain way. And the same goes for me. I expect the same amount of common courtesy that we need to work with each other on the city council to make sure we deliver city services and end homelessness in Minneapolis.
Thank you. Candidate Meyer.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How will you work with fellow council members to address encampments and support residents who are facing housing instability, displacement, or homelessness?
So, much as Miriam said, opinions are going to differ, but there reaches a point where you just have some overwhelming facts that really can't be denied. And when a large camp nearly blows up a city block, it's gone way too far. And these really can't be, and time again they've become dangerous. They really just can't be allowed to grow, or they grow and grow, and then they become attractive for more of the problem. On North Side, they've got kind of a zero tolerance policy, and it seems to be all over in the South where we permit this. So I would really limit the start and intervene carefully for what people individually need. There's a lot of different needs out there, and the county really has to step up with more shelter. They do this kind of human service more directly than the city does. We need to collaborate better with them. They're politicking against each other, the interagencies. That has to stop.
Thank you.
So do I.
All right. Next, yes, so do you. All right, we will start next back with you, Candidate Meyer. The question is on housing this time. What will you do to increase access to affordable housing and address rising rents and increasing property taxes?
We have to, I bring some different experiences to the job. One is writing and editing, word clarity, specificity. And when we're talking about the problems, affordable housing or housing, I just think we really have to be more targeted about what we desperately need most and prioritize it. And it seems like low barrier shelter, very affordable, very low-cost shelter is needed now for just emergency protection. And I don't like calling them tiny homes, although that movement is great. The Avivo villages are the complete service in an easy-to-build and affordable-to-build structure is great. I wouldn't use the term housing is housing, and that's what we're going to have to face the future that large single homes like that are kind of maybe soon a thing of the past. So. More roofs and more direct intervention for the particular specific need.
Thank you. Candidate Whiting, same question.
Yeah, build more housing. And so it sounds simple, but if you ask the experts, what I am hearing from our affordable housing developers, from our for-profit and nonprofit developers, you have to build more housing across the entire housing affordability spectrum. That means deeply affordable housing, missing middle housing, and market rate housing. What we are seeing is when there is more housing, when there is places to go, it stabilizes housing across the city. And so what are we hearing from our developers, right? I should ask my wife. My wife is the housing expert, and so she tells me over dinner. But what they are saying is it's insurance. Insurance prices are going through the roof for housing developers. The wraparound services are being so much harder for our housing and nonprofit housing to afford. To do these things, we have to ensure that we are taking off the burden and ensuring consistency so that people want to develop in our city. We're doing a great job. Minneapolis is one of the best in this country, but we have to continue again to build more housing.
Thank you. And to you, Candidate DeMello.
So I want to address the first part of the question, property taxes. I really feel that there has been so much misuse of taxpayer dollars at the City Hall. And I feel like if we really take a look at what our money is being spent on, property taxes not only don't have to increase by so much every year, but we can solve this issue of finding developers in affordable housing in Minneapolis. And when we say affordable housing, it's not just it's not just deeply affordable housing. It's all types of housing. It's co-ops. There is a thing called working homeless. You have people who are working many jobs, multiple jobs, many hours that can't afford to put a roof over their head. So we really just need to look at how we're spending our city dollars, get rid of the temporary fixes, and focus on the real solutions, including finding housing for all our residents.
Thank you. And right back to you, Candidate DeMello, for the next question. How will you support and maintain small businesses and local entrepreneurs in Ward 11 and help them surmount barriers related to staffing, crime, and city regulations when getting a business started?
So yesterday I was in the Diamond Lake Business District, and I looked into some of the windows. Warner Stellion's gone. The business next to Warner Stellion's gone. We shouldn't have these empty, vacant storefronts in our ward or in our city. We need more direct support for business owners and businesses to help set up shop. It's not easy opening up a business, but I feel like when people have the right resources, the right guidance, and the direct connection from help with the city, we can make a big difference. And part of that, too, is reducing the amount of crime that's happening. Nobody wants to open a business in Uptown or 38th in Chicago or even downtown because of all the crime. Why would I open a business when I know I'm going to get broken into? Why would I open a business when I know that all my products are going to get stolen? Listen, I work for Mayor Melvin Carter in St. Paul downtown, and Lund's left, leaving St. Paul a food desert. We need our businesses. We need convenient support.
Thank you, Candidate DeMello. Candidate Meyer, same question.
I'm glad to know there is a department in the city, the small business support team. I met a representative at the Nicollet Bridge remodel presentation because they're anticipating there's going to be bad disruption when you cut off the Nicollet Bridge. But this city makes it hard to run a business. You never know when the next street reconstruction is going to be, and that could just be fatal to the job. We've also upzoned the city tremendously. So if you have a business that you don't own, you're going to be in danger of being, swept out because that land now is valuable for a very different purpose. I haven't run a business myself, but I do know how hard it is. And I think the city just, as I said in my opening, seems somewhat business hostile. There's not much experience on the council. There rarely ever has been. And we've just got to do a better job of maintaining revenue and understanding that's how a city works and grows.
Thank you, Candidate Meyer. Candidate Whiting, same question.
Thank you. And as in my experience working with our Targets, our 3Ms, Accentures, all these large businesses, it's the same exact thing that we need for small businesses. And so we sat down not too long ago with our small business council here in Ward 11, and what did they tell us? There's three things. The city needs to communicate better, we need to be more efficient, and get done with their overhead costs, and that means the permits. And so what we are seeing is, when, like Candidate Meyer said, communication. When we are putting up or tearing up a street, the city is not communicating, right? That's the first thing is, hey, if you guys are tearing up our streets, communicate with the businesses that are there. One, efficiency. There is we were just at Stone Garden, the owners over there. If you guys haven't been, please go, it's fantastic. What they said, they started up a business, it's a year-long process to get a permit, right? If these things are expensive, if it takes a year, I don't think I could do that, right? And our small business owners can't either. So we have to make these processes efficient, cost-effective, and ready to go.
Thank you. Next question comes back to you, Candidate Whiting. It's on transportation. How would you balance the needs of drivers, cyclists, pedestrians, and public transit users while expanding accessible and safe transit options?
Yeah, and thank you. And it's Minneapolis, again, is one of the best cities in the country, both for our transit, our walkable and bikeable cities. And for myself, as someone, I grew up just across the road, and I took 3 buses to get to Washburn. It took 3 buses, and it should only have to take 1, right? So what we're talking through with MPS and Metro Transit right now is if you're on a bus line, if your kids are going to school, let's make sure that these are efficient bus lines. And right, if we're talking about biking, I'm sure all of you have been down Bryant, right? Bryant right now is fantastic. Right, it should be a little bit wider so our emergency vehicles can get down the street, right? They got to be able to get down the street, so we have to do that, right? But it shouldn't be on every single block in the city of Minneapolis, right? We have to prioritize the ones that make sense and, again, invest in those areas that, right, I take my scooter downtown to City Hall, and I don't want to be on the busy street, right? I want to be on the one that is safe. And it's the exact same thing with the people that bike in the city.
Thank you. Candidate DeMello.
We need to make our non-driving transit more efficient and safe. It shouldn't take an hour to get to downtown Minneapolis from here. We need it to be more effective, quicker, and a pleasant place to be. We need to work with Metro Transit to make sure riding the bus is not going to be so difficult and tasking. You don't want to go to work today and all of a sudden like you feel stressed out from your bus ride. We need to really clean up our transit system, make it faster, and we need to make our streets safer. My best friend was hit by a car not too long ago on Lyndale Avenue, and her life changed completely. She went from being a higher up at Medtronic to not getting her life back because she was hit by a car on Lyndale Avenue because the streets were too narrow. We need to really look at how we do transit and make it effective for bikers, bussers, and motorists.
Thank you. And Candidate Meyer, same question to you.
As I said, I grew up on Chicago Avenue, the busiest bus line in the city, the number 5. It was such a gift for me. I was a weirdo around this, I grew up in this area where the Washburn kids would get their licenses at 16 or the first minute they could. I didn't get mine until my early 20s or 23. I loved taking the bus, but after a while, if people are as old as me and remember, that became one of the most hazardous rides to get on, and I just got turned off from taking transit. Then I did get my license, and I realized the advantage of that. I do wonder if there's just been too much infrastructure projects, and this may sound really naive, but I wonder if we could do an education about just sharing the road. Drivers, if you don't want this, like the example on Portland and 60th, 1 block of protected lane.
Sorry. Thank you, candidate. So back to you, though, for the next question, which is back to housing. Renters and multifamily unit residents historically have had limited means to do energy efficiency improvements. What programs, policies, or tools would you expand or create to help renters and multifamily unit residents save energy and reduce their energy cost burden?
I don't know. Let me say, we've had some great leadership on environmentalism, clean energy, clean air, alternatives in this ward and in the city. They are way out front of me. I'm not even going to pretend that I've got answers over and above what they're doing. I don't want to impede what the city is well on track to doing. I don't know. That seems like a decision for the larger owner, what they can install, and I'm kind of at a loss for what an individual unit holder could do to reduce. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just want to note that our time for taking additional questions has closed It is past 6:45, so from now on, we got a lot of questions. So we'll get to as many as we can. And so the next response will come from candidate Whiting, and that is to the same question. Do you need it reread for you?
No, ma'am.
You're good?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you, Debbie. And particularly when we're talking about multifamily units, right? I'll start with a quick and easy one, right? We need to require it. We don't right now. Multifamily units do not need to recycle. And so when you open the thing and throw your garbage in, there's no place to recycle. And so that's one piece that when we talk to experts, when we talk to Sierra Club and other environmental organizations in our city, these are small steps we can take. But also, we have to hold our public utilities accountable to our climate goals. And so when we're talking about decarbonizing our city, when we're talking about making these large multifamily units, more sustainable and energy efficient, these things go into rent. And so when landlords and project managers have to pay for higher utility costs in their buildings, that in turn goes back onto our renters. And so again, we have to ensure that these buildings are more efficient and accountable to the public utilities that, again, it's a monopoly for a lot of them. And so we're talking to our expert, let's do it. Thank you.
And candidate DeMello.
I am really worried about the energy rates and Excel's bills going up. It's going up significantly if you haven't paid attention. If at this rate, it's just going to be unbearable for low income, not only renters, but also landlords. I am a big proponent of making sure any type of new construction in the city has, if you want a building permit, you have to meet all these criteria for solar panels, heat pumps, whatever. We need to make sure that new construction is greener and more efficient. For existing residents, I don't want to punish landlords and I don't want to punish low-income earners. We need to make sure residents, you're not going to make people recycle. You have to educate people on the importance of recycling. So I want to make sure people that being more energy sustainable sexy again. We need to make sure that not only we're doing that with our residents, but also our businesses.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, next question comes right back to you, candidate DeMello. And the question is, what concrete steps will you take to ensure the safety, dignity, and constitutional rights of our immigrant communities in Minneapolis?
So this is a personal question for me. My family immigrated here, made Minneapolis their forever home in their 70s because they wanted to exercise their constitutional rights of freedom of religion and speech, and that's something that's being challenged every day now. But for our undocumented workers and community members, I want to reassure them that Minneapolis is and will forever be a sanctuary city. We will not do Trump's dirty work. We need to make sure that people living here are going to be protected, and that when there is some type of ICE raid that happened a few months ago, that people understand that Minneapolis is not a part of this, that Minneapolis cares about our immigrant community and we want to support them, and we hopefully will always be a true and blue democratic city.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Meyer,
Could
same
you
question.
repeat the question again?
Sure. What concrete steps will you take to ensure the safety, dignity, and constitutional rights of our immigrant communities in Minneapolis?
Donald Trump makes the discussion so difficult. He's just off the charts of what he is willing to attempt to do. I think it's often part of a mania and a provocation and a power trip. But I think it's clear to anybody the value that a lot of immigrants bring, their experience, their dedication to the work, some expertise. We have to reassert that we value that, and we will protect that, and we will not be overrun by its own criminality. And that's really, I don't know what more
Okay.
what more to say.
Thank you, Candidate Meyer. Candidate Whiting.
Yeah, and here's the unfortunate part, right? And it's the one thing that I think every single person in this room understands, that the Trump administration has put a target on the back of the city of Minneapolis. We just had a meeting this morning about the Trump administration suing the city of Minneapolis about a separation ordinance. We're going to win, right? We have a bunch of really great city attorneys in our city, and I think we're going to do great. But we have to ensure we have the people in our office, on council, that are taking this on the mantle, right? We are seeing a federal administration that is, and let's just say it's a fascist administration. We have to ensure that our separation order is beefed up, right? And that's what makes us a sanctuary city, is our separation ordinance. And then to ensure that MPD is never coordinating with ICE, and they're not, right? We have to ensure that that stays the case. That is something fully within the bounds of City Hall. Right, City Council can continue, and they are actually right now planning to beef up that ordinance, and that is something that I'd be entirely supportive of.
Okay, thank you. And okay, and that, all right, next we will go to candidate DeMello with the same question.
I think I already answered the separation ordinance.
Right.
Sister?
Okay.
Yeah.
This was bound to happen.
It's been a long day.
I think you're doing
All
great.
right.
I've seen much worse.
All right. So, candidate DeMello, we have another question. So this is we'd like a fast answer to this question. If you could accomplish only one major thing during your term, what would it be?
Reducing the crime rate in Minneapolis. We wouldn't live here if we felt unsafe. I want to be safe in my home. I don't want to have to move to the suburbs because I can't walk from my driveway to inside my house after 10 o'clock. We need to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep everybody safe in our community.
Okay,
no
thank
questions
you.
asked.
Thank you. And on with the lightning round here. Let's go next to candidate Meyer.
I can't argue with that. I'll add one more. I'm running on a campaign of, do we know what we're spending on? Miriam has made this point before. Do we know what we're spending on? Is it well spent? Because we've got other strong priorities, really urgent, life-saving priorities that we've got to get to. So that savings from the non-essentials has got to go into some of our severe problems. And I would say that just a real pretty fundamental audit of the budget process.
Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Thank you. And lastly to you, candidate Whiting.
Yeah, and I think we all live here because we love this city. Every single one of you are in here because you care, because you show up every single day to take care of our city, and that's what we need more of, right? If I could change one thing tomorrow, it would make sure that we get outside of making our local politics be part of our national politics, because that's not what Minneapolis does. We all work together in the city of Minneapolis to move us forward. If we're done with politics, it's time to get stuff done, and that's what I hope to do on council.
Okay, thank you very much, because now we're going to move on to our closing statements. And we are going to start with candidate Whiting. You have 1 minute. Yep, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Right, and thank you, Debbie, and thank you all again for coming out here. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the 4,500 city employees that I get to work with every single day. Because when we all think about it, they are the folks that get this work done in our city. And that's why our campaign is larger than our individual politics. It's about doing the work that will actually move our city forward. I hope that this is just the beginning of our conversation, because as like many of you, I can talk to you for hours about our city, right? We are here because we care and we love this city. And so thank you all so much for being here on a Tuesday night. I humbly ask to be your first choice this November, and please come up, send an email, send a text. My campaign manager says I have to stop giving away my personal number, but if you want it, just come over afterward and I'll give it away. But I love this city and I love the people that are in it, so thank you so much.
Candidate Meyer, you're next.
4,500. I thought it was 4,271, but anyway. See?
We're growing, Jim, we're growing.
I know. Well, that's where we differ. Okay, may I start? I know there may be suspicions about a new independent candidate popping up out of nowhere, but we need more people outside the political machinery, I believe. I'm very proud of a candidate in Ward 9, Dan Orban. He's working very hard for serious problems down there. Not many people want to do it. I understand why, but I did. I'm not favored by any of the political PACs. My criticisms on budget and ethics are probably not even appreciated by my centrist incumbent friends or their favorite mayor, who has been no fiscal hawk himself. But I feel my emphasis on cost control and core service actually crosses left and right, elites and down. Costs of living are going up, quality of life is going down, and it's hitting this ward and certainly the inner city. So I know I'm unconventional, but many voters have thanked me for jumping in, especially these crazy days. I feel like a winner already, but I do need your ground support for small donations, or please take a yard sign to get this message out. The only endorsement I need is yours. No kings, no kingmakers in Ward 11. Thank you. And thank you to, well, I'm out of time. I was going to lavish the league with praise for all that you do.
Oh, there'll be time. And Candidate DeMello, your closing statement, please.
Many of us feel it's time for a change. We've been dealing with extreme and idealistic agendas on the city council that caused so much waste and so much disrespect and so much dysfunction over the last few years. From the beginning of my campaign, I've been honest with you about what my priorities are. I'm not shifting. These are my true blue Democratic priorities are what I bring to the city council. I also bring years of public service experience. I've worked for many mayors. I've worked through COVID. I've worked for countless police-involved shootings. It's been a pleasure to be a public servant and be a part of the Minneapolis Charter Commission. But not only today am I asking for your vote, but I'm asking for your trust. I want you to trust me, because I know with my experience how to run a functioning city. I know how to make sure that your tax dollars are being well spent. And I want to get back to the days of the Martin Sabos and the Paul Wellstones and the true Democratic voices of Minnesota.
Okay, thank you to all three of you. And on behalf of all the co-sponsors, I thank the candidates for being part of the democratic process by running for office and for being willing to serve our community. We hope this forum has helped the voters of Ward 11 make an informed decision with regard to the November 4th election. Remember, in Minneapolis, we use ranked choice voting for this election, where you vote for candidates in order of your preference, allowing you to rank your vote: first choice, second choice, third choice. This method can allow your vote to count toward another candidate if your favorite candidate loses. If your first choice candidate is eliminated, your vote is moved to your second choice. Fair Vote Minnesota is here with us tonight and will gladly answer any questions you have. There, okay, where's Fair Vote? They're out in the next room. So if you have any questions about ranked choice voting, be sure and stop and talk with them. We also thank you, the audience, for your participation in this forum and the democratic process. We challenge you, as you go away this evening, thinking about all you've heard and everything it takes to be part of all this, we challenge you to think about what are 3 things you can do now to further civic dialogue about the issues and encourage participation in this very important election we have coming up. Nonpartisan information about candidates and about voting is also available at vote411.org. Early voting for the general election began a week ago Friday, September 19th, and it ends Monday, November 3rd, so you can vote at any time. The video recording of this forum will be available unedited for viewing on the League of Women Voters Minneapolis website, lwvmpls.org. Editing of this video is authorized only for official media reporting. Footage cannot be used in campaign publicity. The recording is the property of League of Women Voters Minneapolis. At this point, You can show your appreciation for your candidates with your applause. Thank you. Two quick reminders. First of all, please stick around at our meet and greet, which will be happening here for the next half hour, and your candidates here will be available to talk with you one-on-one. And lastly, as League of Women Voters, we say, please vote. Your vote is your voice and your power. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Did I tell?
That's all right.
Great job, though. You handled it really well.
Oh, yeah. It was a little crazy. Oh my goodness.
Oh, your humor? I love that humor. We got that bit about which one was here. That's great.
I'm going to take these.
All right.
You can have this, but I'm going to take your
Oh,
questions.
questions?